Yo, welcome to Starbucks with Jim and Donardo and Tyler, because it is Friday morning and Tyler's feeling kind of frisky today, going to do a podcast. But
Tyler isn't working.
That's right. Tyler's not working. None of us are working. So let's do this. 10 a.m. in the morning. We're here to talk about all the weekly events that we didn't talk about yet. So let's do it. I mean, do we just want to get into it? I guess first I should properly ask you all, how was your Thanksgiving? Especially Jim. How was your Thanksgiving, Jim?
It was fine.
How was your turkey?
I had chicken. I didn't have turkey because chicken tastes better than turkey. So why subject myself to something that tastes worse than chicken?
So did you or your wife cook it?
Kroger cooked it. It was a rotisserie chicken from Kroger.
What a sad life.
But it was very good. I mean, have you ever had one of those like rotisserie chickens from the store? They're delicious.
They're very good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
like
I'm sure they went really all out with the sides though.
We did.
Slaved over them, I'm sure.
I did.
How many people did you have over? How many servings did you create?
It was just us. It was just me and my wife. Yeah.
Hanging out with all of your friends.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, it sounds incredible.
It was a good Thanksgiving. I took a 3-hour nap from like 2 to 5.
And that's the
problem. You got to take a nap from going to the store.
And I was just out. It was amazing.
That's the problem with like the family Thanksgivings, is you really can't get that nap in.
Yeah, and that's the best part, is like being able to take that that nap.
Which is also why I was in bed at like 9 o'clock last night, and Donardo was mad I wasn't playing PlayStation with him.
Sorry.
See, now because of the nap, me and Ryan were playing FIFA.
Exactly. I couldn't. I was too tired.
Yeah.
Baseball.
Oh, well. Baseball. Let's get into the baseball. There was a whole week of a lot of transactions. We previewed a lot of them. We had Justice on last time, right? We talked about the non-tender deadline. A lot of stuff. So a lot of that came and passed. There was a few trades we'll talk about. I mean, for one, Kevin Newman was traded. Hoyt Park was traded. The Pirates added a minor league free agent pitcher, Nate Webb. The Pirates also added a waiver claim in Lewin Diaz. And I feel like all these trades in their individual ways got a lot, I guess maybe less about Hoyt Park, but all these trades and moves got a lot of action for a lot of different stupid reasons, when mainly most of them were meaningless. But hey, we're a Pirates podcast. We got to talk about it. Let's do it. So before we get really deep into it, where do we want to start? Do we just want to go chronological order?
Let's start with Newman, the Kevin Newman deal.
Okay. All right. So again, basically we talked about who the Pirates might non-tender. They tricked us. They tendered everybody. But basically immediately after the non-tender deadline, which was 8 o'clock, the Pirates released theirs at 9:40-ish. Does that sound about right, guys?
Yeah, about right.
Yeah.
In true Pirates fashion.
Right. So they released it at like 9:40 that everyone was tendered. And then about 10 o'clock at night, they announced that Kevin Newman was traded to the Red Sox. I'm sorry, to the Reds. Kevin Newman traded to the Reds for, help me, Dauri Moreta. Good enough.
You know what? He's not even important enough that I haven't even gone to look up how you pronounce his name.
Yeah, I didn't get that far.
So we'll stick with
Dauri
Moreta.
Dauri Moreta.
So let's do it. How do we feel about this entire transaction?
I'll start unless you want to start, Tyler.
Nope, it's all you. It's
All
your
right.
show.
I don't think it's a very impactful deal, really, one way or the other. We're talking about trading away a shortstop who was, probably going to put together 300 at bats or so, backup infielder, for a soon to be 27-year-old reliever who, had a good back half to last year, but had a terrible front half and wasn't all that great in AAA. So he's a guy, he's a guy. I don't think he's good. So you traded away a solid backup middle infielder for a bad reliever. So I guess if you just think of it that way, overall, it's not important. And it's also not really that great of a deal, I think, for the Pirates. But who cares?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Jim here. You hit the nail on the head with it just not being that important. And I did have a mini rant on Twitter about it. And really, it all just comes down to it's a team that employs a lot of non-major league caliber middle infielders, and they just traded one of them away for nothing. And they're going to replace him probably with someone that's worse than Kevin Newman. So it's just it's not about Kevin Newman specifically. It's just the pattern of what we've seen that leads to the frustration. Really, it's not that big of a deal. Like Kevin Newman probably shouldn't be on a competitive Pirates team anyhow. He could have a spot, but you can probably find someone that can do what he does. I just don't know that they will. And it leads to a little bit of frustration there.
Okay. So here's what I interject. And obviously we've been discussing this day basically for like a few months now, right? The potential of Kevin Newman, is he on this future club and such, and when Justin was on, I talked about how I was on the other end. I get swayed. And at the end of the day, I don't really care. Like if he gets non-tendered or if he does get tendered, whatever. But at the like here's where I come in and say, you know what, I'm going to validate myself. Because Kevin Newman isn't good. Kevin Newman hasn't been good. We've been waiting for Kevin Newman to be off this team for a long time now. And he finally is. And the Pirates actually got something for him. And by no means am I saying that Moreta is great, right? But they made a trade. They didn't even have to just non-tender him. They made a trade for him. Mm-hmm. With that said, who was the trade to? It was the Reds, a non-competitive team, which means the good teams don't want Kevin Newman. The Yankees, literally, like my thing is Kevin Newman, like at his very best, I feel like Kevin Newman's ceiling is kind of Falefa for the Yankees. Like if he could be that
very best, yeah,
that's his very best. And the Yankees were like, we'll just rather pay this guy who also stinks $6 million and making a trade for Kevin Newman who's cheaper. Which I mean, it's Yankees, but hey, they could be pitching pennies right now to try to get Aaron Judge, right? There's $3 million they could have saved to go towards that. But like they would rather pay $6 million for him. And Kevin Newman, like something like getting at is like no competitive team wanted him. The Reds wanted him. He's not that good. The Pirates, like you have to do better. And that's what I'm getting at. Like this team is in a unique situation where you have to straddle and play some of the younger kids, right, for this rebuild to get them the plate experiences, the experience and whatever. But then you also have to fill it with competitive vets, right, to show the ropes to the young guys and whatever, but also to be good. And Kevin Newman's just neither of them. He's never seen a winning team in the major leagues. He's never had any like true veterans to show him the reps. Like every time he's been on this club, he's been the oldest guy at 23, 24, 25 years old. And then like on top of that, he's not good. He's just not good. And I know he had a better year last year, but like that's what we're clamoring on. Like, oh my God, hey guys, he wasn't just shitty. He was just terrible. So we should hang on to him as a backup infielder. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm good. I'm good with him gone. Do better. Now this is where it's going to be different. Where Tyler, you talked about your little mini rant. If the Pirates continue this pattern, right, and they don't fill that roster spot with a true veteran, hopefully in some type of a corner position, the catcher, whatever, right, and they're just going these waiver claims or whatever, then it's a failure. It's a lost move. But this is their opportunity to purge the bad players and start capitalizing, maybe getting some good players.
I think the other part to look at here is just roster construction in general. It's a team absolutely full of lefties, and Kevin Newman at one skill set, he mashes lefties. So that's a part you're
It's
missing.
like the
here too,
only thing he does really well. Yeah.
He does. But, and like I tweeted out to someone too, and this isn't by any means, I would also be okay if Diego Castillo wasn't on the team. But like I kind of feel like he's just a guy. But Diego Castillo does hit lefties also. Like if there's a one thing Diego Castillo does do, it's that he hits lefties. So you got that already.
Yeah, so I guess my difference is like the reason why I'm not exactly thrilled with the move is because I don't think Diego Castillo can play shortstop. I don't think G1 Bay can play shortstop. I don't think Rodolfo Castro can play shortstop. Now, you're not looking for an everyday shortstop. O'Neal Cruz is going to obviously get the bulk of the playing time, but there are going to be times where O'Neal Cruz is going to DH or, need a day off, right? So, like, you want somebody who's, hopefully good at playing shortstop. And that was one thing that Kevin Newman was at. I mean, I'm not saying he was the greatest shortstop ever, but he is a shortstop, right? Whereas the other people are definitely more second baseman types. Now, if we're going to go ahead and say, Newman, you're going to get the majority of your bats against lefties. Instead, those are going to be going to Castillo. We're not looking at too big of a difference there in terms of production on offense. The difference is going to be on the defensive side of the ball. But I said that's where I think, this doesn't really it's a very marginal, the difference here. You could even argue that, Diego Castillo has more of a ceiling than Kevin Newman, right? Has a higher ceiling. Definitely has a lower floor, I would say, too. But like I said, very marginal differences here. I agree with both of you, though. Like, this move didn't make the 2023 Pirates better. You know what I mean? I don't think Dauri Moreta is good at all. No matter how many times you put his second half statistics in front of my face, I'm still going, that doesn't erase what he's done up until, that's the one, stop telling me what somebody has done the last 2 months of a season. He's 26 years old and he has 42 innings pitched in the major leagues. That means he's not good. If he were good, he would have made the majors earlier. He would have more innings pitched than that. He would have a higher than 5.74 FIP in AAA. He's not a good reliever, right? So I think just in terms of the 2023 Pirates, they didn't get better with this trade. Now, did they get worse? Maybe, maybe not. But they didn't get better.
Anything to add, Tyler, before I jump in?
Just my other slight annoyance of this is something I've kind of harped on is I'm tired of trading actual major leaguers to try to build this bullpen. I'm just tired of doing it. Sharon can find another way to acquire a reliever.
It's actually a good point. So you now look at, he traded Daniel Vogelbach, who was statistically the second best hitter on this team last year, for a 27-year-old rookie reliever who then got hurt and gave you 8 innings last year. He traded Jose Quintana for a corner infielder that he didn't protect in the Rule 5 draft this year, and a guy who's likely going to be a reliever. And now he's traded Kevin Newman for a bad reliever. So those are good points. You traded 3 actual major league players, and you've got 3 relief pitchers in return for them.
To me, the Vogelbach one is the one that I could maybe side the closest to. I think a lot of it comes down to said reliever, how good he ends up being. Holderman looked like he could be potentially a pretty decent reliever. We didn't get to see any of it, really, right? So that's fair. And there was definitely years of control to Vogelbach, and he was going to be pretty cheap, right? So I understand. But to me, again, like I just go back to the Quintana one. Like he was a gone player. I don't really care that it was a reliever that they got back. They got a player they got back, and they got at a position they truly needed. And they got a prospect out of it in Nunez, who we all agree isn't the most intriguing prospect. We're not as intrigued as many other people are with him. But there was a total package with that. This here, again, I was completely okay with not tendering Kevin Newman. I was completely okay with having said, again, bad major league player. Let's stop talking about actual major leaguers. Like he was borderline not a major leaguer. I was okay non-tendering him and him becoming a minor league invite somewhere, aka a non-major league player. All right. I was perfectly okay with that. So the fact that they got something out of him, and again, the fact that it's a bullpen arm, like I look at it a different type of way. And again, the Vogelbach is one where I'll side closer to you. But we keep talking how Cherington needs to build a bullpen. We'll find out if it's going to work. We'll find out if it's going to be competent next year. But like that is what he's doing. He is attacking this weakness. You know, and as far as I talked about last year, comparing the Orioles and showing like, hey, look at this good bullpen they have. Look how it was built. It was much like this. It was much like this. Tons of waiver claims, tons of just cheap signings and deals and such like that. This is basically how the Orioles did it. Now, it worked for them. We got to find out if it works for Ben Cherington and the Pirates. But I guess here's where I side a little differently as well for Moreta. I don't care about the second half stats. I know that was like the point of emphasis for a lot of accounts. Well, here's what he did the final 2 months. I didn't care about that one bit. That's not how I'm looking at this. That's not why I'm saying like he could be good. The way I'm looking at it is his four-seamer was excellent. His slider was actually really good. His sinker was god-awful, terrible, an awful, terrible pitch. And I don't know if there's something he needs to do to work on that to get it better. I honestly feel like it can't get any worse. Maybe he just needs to scrap it. I don't know. Now that he's here, maybe the Pirates are like, hey, you know what? I know what we can do. You need to talk to Clay Holmes. And he talks to Clay Holmes and he gets that sinker better. I don't know. But that's what intrigues me. Like when you look at his arsenal, it just feels like the sinker is what blew everything up because his other stuff is actually pretty decent. And that's why I find some intrigue with this guy for just simply a Kevin Newman trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a big enough. First off, there's not a big enough sample.
That's
size
what Kevin Newman is. Kevin Newman is
There's not a big enough sample size for me to say any of his pitches are good. Like we're talking about pitches that he's thrown less than 200 times in the majors.
Well, the four-seamer was thrown 226 times.
Yeah. That's like a starting. That's like a starting pitcher through 4 starts. Like I mean, like that's what we're talking about here, right? Like,
I get it.
It's not enough for me to draw any sort of conclusion.
The only thing I'll say is maybe getting away from Great American Small Park might help a little bit. His home and away splits are better, but still not really intrigued.
That was another thing too. I know a lot of people were leading that, like because his home runs were like what 2 point something per nine. I mean, it's god awful too. And a lot was like, well, he gets away from Great America Small Park, right? And they'll get better. And to me, it's like that's not the biggest thing too either. Like that's not my prime focus. It's not where he's going to be good because he's away from Cincinnati and his 2 months of the second end, right? The numbers were good. To me, it's this other stuff that I find the intrigue. And yeah, Jim, you're right. I mean, the sample size is small, but that is what adds the intrigue. That's what adds intrigue. I'm not here saying he's going to be good. I don't know, but it's also Kevin Newman.
He gave up 10 home runs in 38 innings.
Yes.
And it wasn't because of Great American Ballpark. Like, I'm looking like he would have given up 10 home runs in a lot of parks.
I never said I was intrigued. He's just
I'm not intrigued at all. Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
I mean, here one positive, I guess, is that they acquired a reliever that doesn't throw 93. He throws a little harder than that. So we're starting to get back towards throwing some guys with getting some guys with some velocity. So there's, I guess, some sort of positive just in that trend. But if
Yeah.
the guys with velocity aren't good, it doesn't matter.
And going back to like my original point, like this isn't some earth-shattering move where because the Pirates did this, it's going to lead to, disaster or fortune, right? In any direction. Like this is a move that probably doesn't move the needle in any way for 2023.
That's completely fair.
Yeah.
As the opposing viewpoint of this, that's completely fair. This doesn't move it. And I guess I didn't talk too much of what you said about that. Are the Pirates worse? They are worse in this move. They are. I mean, I'm not even going to argue that, but it doesn't mean it was the wrong move for me. Like they are worse, but the point is now that you have that roster spot open from Kevin Newman, fill it with something better than Kevin Newman, and that's how you get better instead of settling on Kevin Newman and maintaining. That's where I'm at. I'm not here to say I want Kevin Newman gone, and now because Kevin Newman's gone, this team's better. I'm saying I want Kevin Newman gone because I want an adequate, good veteran corner outfielder, please.
On the
find it
Pirates
funny
side,
though, like, go ahead.
it's not going to be Hoy Park that's filling in for him. So I guess that's one positive.
Yeah.
There you go.
But also I find it funny that like Kevin Newman essentially has now become the official shortstop service time manipulator of the NL Central. So like he was basically there to manipulate O'Neal Cruz's service time, and he will only be there long enough in Cincinnati to manipulate Ellie De La Cruz's service time. So that's kind of funny.
O'Neal Cruz 2.0.
Right, basically. Yeah. Watch him just go off against the Pirates though this year, because that's just what's going to happen. Like that's what's going to happen. He's gonna like we open up against the Reds, I think, don't we?
Yeah, I believe so.
He's hitting an opening day home run.
He's not.
He might.
Kevin Newman's not good. I don't fear Kevin Newman coming back and haunting the Pirates. He's Kevin Newman.
Kevin Newman's going to go.
He's haunting the Pirates year after year already.
He's going full on Billy Hamilton.
Yeah. That's what's going to happen. First pitch off of Mitch Keller, probably opening day.
Don't do that.
Going to be a home run.
He is going to hit 300 next year.
He's not.
And then the Reds are going to flip him for someone better at the deadline than what they gave up, and Pirates Twitter is going to go crazy.
I will not argue that one. That's a possibility because that's what happens. But I'm okay feeling that Kevin Newman is not going to be that great. And again, like the other thing I didn't really add in here in this argument talking about, like with Kevin Newman, like when you look at this, is expected WOBA, it's his career average.
Mm-hmm.
Like his WOBA last year was, I'm not going to say much higher, but it was higher than expected. Like his expected is literally what his career was, which is not good. Like he played better, but he also got lucky last year. He got lucky to be a 6% below average hitter.
Yeah, pretty much.
He is what he is. I'm not worried about losing Kevin Newman by any freaking means at all.
No one is. I don't think anybody is. But we're just saying that's what's going to happen.
Don't say
we're
anybody,
the Pirates.
We're
the Pirates, and bad things happen.
Kevin Newman is a consistent hitter. He's a good major leaguer. I can't believe the Pirates are so cheap. They lost Kevin Newman.
That was a terrible whatever that was.
Yeah, I don't know what that was, but
it's Pirates Twitter. It's the bad people that don't know what they're talking about on Pirates Twitter.
I was expecting a Yinzer accent or something.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But yeah, no, that's all. I mean, you did mention one incorrect thing though. You said he's never been a part of a winning team. He actually was the only Pirate, I believe, who was part of the last winning team. Now they have no one who was part of that team.
So that is fair. I guess in 2018 for his cup of coffee, he was there.
Yeah.
He was a part. A space
He was
PART.
a part of a winning team. Now he is a part from that winning team.
With no space. All right. Is that enough, Kevin Newman, for 2022?
It's enough for a lifetime.
Yeah, until we do our post game show opening day, Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. I guess then we should go to Hoyt Park. Just knock out all the trades.
Let's do it.
So it was the night before Thanksgiving, huh? Thanksgiving Eve. I was sad that Ben Cherington didn't make a trade yesterday.
Yeah.
But I guess it was close enough. So Hoyt Park was DFA'd by the Pirates. And the Reds came in and said, hey, you know what?
Red Sox.
I'm an idiot. I said Newman went to the Red Sox. Okay, so Hoyt Park went to the Red Sox. Yeah, the Red Sox came in and said, we need Hoyt Park. We absolutely have to have Hoyt Park. We can't wait for him to pass, clear waivers and all such. We need him now. So they said, how about we give you, Ben Cherington, Inmer Lobo. Again, apologize if incorrectly pronounced. Inmer Lobo, 18-year-old pitcher. So again, let's open up thoughts.
See, this is actually where I feel like DiNardo, where I'll take anything for Hoyt Park.
Yeah, no, exactly. So like Hoyt Park was DFA'd, right? So like you were expecting to get absolutely nothing from Hoyt Park anyways. And instead you've got Inmer Lobo, who is 18 years old, dominated the Dominican Summer League last year, didn't pitch the second half because of an injury. But again, 18 DSL, so you can't really take anything from him there. He's facing 16, 17, year olds a lot of times. So I guess it's just a matter of, we'll assess him once he reaches the States and see if he's anything worth getting excited about. But yeah, I mean, the fact that you got a body that might have some semblance of upside for Hoyt Park is that's fine by me.
It was very hard to find any information on this Inmer Lobo fella. All I could really find was that his fastball is like 86 to 90. And he's a lefty in the DSL. Of course, he's going to carve him up. So, like Jim said, it's a body. Hoyt Park is a body. I'm fine with it.
I think it's all fair enough. That's where we all stand. It was Hoyt Park. I mean, if I thought Kevin Newman was going for nothing, certainly felt like Hoyt Park was going for nothing. So this guy's a long way. It's not even a guy. It's a kid. This kid's a long way away. Right. I'm not even intrigued at this point. It's just, okay, let me find out if I hear his name in a few years again and talking about let me find out if Tim Williams is talking about him in a few years. That's when I'll say, okay, now I have some intrigue. At this point, I'm not intrigued. It's just, oh, cool, they got somebody. Yeah, like you said, he carved it up. His numbers look great, but again, it's DSL. It's 18 years old, 22 innings pitched, whatever. So we'll find out.
Yeah. How much things have changed since that Clay Holmes trade, where we were just talking up Hoyt Park and Diego Castillo, and look at us today.
That's literally what I was flipping this into. To me, the biggest thing about this is the fact of the Clay Holmes trade. We just talked about Kevin Newman, and in Kevin Newman, we are able to talk about Diego Castillo. And we're basically comparing Diego Castillo to Kevin Newman as far as talent. Mm-hmm. Again, a year ago, everyone hated Kevin Newman. And now the Pirates has traded Hoyt Park, part of that deal. And we're all like, hey, they got a body for him. Yeah, that Clay Holmes trade, man. And that was like
after we were just talking about how Cherington can't build a bullpen and he's trading away all these position players for him.
Right.
And I feel like the Clay Holmes trade was one of the best trades we felt he made.
Like at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And turns out that wasn't it either.
Well, what was interesting about the Clay Holmes trade was at the time, it wasn't like Clay Holmes was a new commodity for us either. Like we had seen Clay Holmes pitch for a few years now, parts of quite a few seasons. And like everyone could see, yeah, like he's got stuff, but he couldn't locate his pitches. When he did, they were getting hit. And so it was like, hey, we got real people for Clay Holmes. Like, and you know how instead, like now we're like, we got a live person for Hoy Park. That's what it was like when we traded Clay Holmes. It was like, oh my God, we got actual people for him. And there was a little bit to kind of be intrigued about with Hoy Park whenever they acquired him. He was the top hitter in AAA when the Pirates acquired Hoy Park. And Diego Castillo, same way. Like it was having a really good season in AA when they acquired him. So like you look back at the trade, at the time of the trade, it was like, oh wow, this looks pretty good. Turns out that wasn't the case.
Right.
So yeah, we're now looking at a Kevin Newman replacement and a guy we just traded for Inmer Lobo. But
basically,
yeah, here we are.
Basically, again, that's what this whole thing represents to me, and just kind of eats at is the one trade that we all were like, wow, how we're talking about Hoy Park right now is how we talked about Clay Holmes. Wow, the Pirates got something for Clay Holmes. And there's some intrigue. Hoy Park, I mean, he turned it around in the minor leagues. He got this added power. But Diego Castillo is an actual prospect. And then Clay Holmes was like, oh, the Yankees, you guys going to teach me a sinker? And now I can be elite? Great. So, yeah, again, that's the biggest piece to me is how that trade actually just turned out to be nothing. But regardless, yeah, Hoy Park, we're all okay with. There's a ton of middle infield depth on this team. Again, one reason why I'm okay with Kevin Newman gone, also Hoy Park gone. So it is just whatever with that. But yeah, and again, going back to Lobo, I don't think much of us have real intrigue with him. It's a guy for now.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a guy where, I mean, Anthony said it in the comments here where, you can't possibly have an opinion about Lobo at this point. Cody Patanko put out a video where it was 2 pitches, right? So if you want to go ahead and make up your mind on the guy from seeing like 2 pitches that he threw, by all means, go ahead and do that. But there's just not enough information that really anybody has right now to come up with a real opinion on Inmer Lobo.
Agree. So does that wrap up Hoy Park in 2022 as well?
I think.
How about this? Do you think Hoy Park gets any playing time with the 2023 Red Sox?
I will simply just say, I'll roll the dice and just say yes. I'm not saying anything extended. And of course, if Bogart signs or not could help or hurt that chance.
Yeah.
That could be maybe just like a little bit of an insurance piece. It's just a guy for depth.
I think he will. I mean, he can play enough positions that he'll find a couple of bats up there.
Okay. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say he's DFA'd before the season starts.
I can certainly see that.
Yeah.
Either way,
I guess the way to look at this for the Red Sox is Lobo lost to them. No, this is a guy that, let me just get, this is some intrigue to this guy. Let's get him for a little bit of insurance policy. They sign Bogarts. They find the depths there. He could be DFA'd, like Jim's saying. Move on. We didn't give up anything for him anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where I'm at. And then I think if he gets DFA'd by the Red Sox, I don't know. He can probably stick around somewhere. Like he'll find a minor league deal somewhere because he's useful in AAA. But other than that, I don't know how many more opportunities Hoy Park's going to get in Major League Baseball.
I mean, I'm sure he will. The fact that it was a trade, right? No one just waited for him to go through. Like, it was a trade for him. I feel like There must have been maybe some other fielders out there.
Yeah, but the Red Sox probably do have a good bit of familiarity with him, with the Yankees. And then you also got Sherrington and Pittsburgh. So there's connections there. So maybe they're the only team that wanted him.
I don't know. I guess I'm kind of with Jim. I think there's going to be enough teams that he presents some intrigue. Again, the position flexibility, some of the power.
We just talked about how Kevin.
There
Newman,
are the Oakland A's that signed Pablo Reyes the other day.
I guess everybody has some intrigue somehow.
Right. That's just what I'm getting at.
Like the Pablo Reyes?
Yeah. The A's picked up Pablo, I think maybe 3 days ago.
Wow. Good for him.
So there you go. Like Pablo's still hanging around teams. Hoyt Park could.
Sure. He's better off just going back overseas and playing. Probably make a lot more money and play a lot better.
Yeah. Which, speaking of, I find it so Bo Sulzer. So Pirates DFA Bo Sulzer gets claimed by the Orioles. Orioles DFA Bo Sulzer gets claimed by the Pirates. Pirates then go right back and DFA him again, like 2 weeks later. And now he signs a deal, $750,000 in Korea. So I find it interesting though, because I feel like getting DFA'd by the Pirates is like the last straw before you're like, well, I guess I gotta go to another country. This is how many players now in the last 2 years where, well, I can't make the Pirates, so I might as well go to Korea.
Right.
There's got to be like a handful, like 5 people.
But we know. No, Will Craig. Did Craig go over? He did go overseas.
Well, Craig pretty much just said, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, Craig was like, I can't be in this country anymore. I need to move.
But I think, did Craig stop? Is he coaching now, I think?
I don't think so.
Know.
I think he's still over there. But like same thing, like when Alford got DFA'd and went to South Korea.
Alfred,
there was a
Nick
few
Kingham
others.
did.
Kingham.
Who was I just gonna say it too?
There's some other hitters too. Yeah. That's just, it's like the last straw. It's like if I can't make the Pirates, time to go to Korea. Oh, Gregory Polanco.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, geez.
Yeah, geez. So just an interesting tidbit there.
4.
They should make an entire team in the KBO of just ex-Pirates.
And then that team should play the current Pirates and see who wins.
Ugh. That'd be ugly.
That's going to be the spring.
I don't even want to see that game. I do not want to see that game because I'm afraid we'd lose.
I was going to say, instead of playing that college team they play every year, right? In spring training, like they play the KBO team.
Manatee Community College.
Yeah.
Didn't they lose to them one year?
They did. Yes.
They got wrecked by them that year too, I believe. It was like double-digit runs they lost by.
I don't know what it was. I think the wind was blowing out because there was like 13 home runs hit.
Yeah. Says a lot.
But like I think that was one of the better Pirates teams. Like I want to say that was like 2013 or 2012.
I think it was like right before they got good because I think Mahalo was pitching.
I would say like 11, 12.
Yeah, but like those teams weren't terrible. Like
no,
11, 12 weren't terrible.
But also that's why spring training doesn't mean a whole lot either.
Right.
Speaking of Kevin Newman. Anyways. So we're going to close the books on Hoyt Park? It was 9.
Yeah.
So that team was terrible.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah.
That was way longer than I thought it was. Jeez. All right. So I guess we should move forward. So there's the 2 trades. You did talk about Bo Sulzer. Lewin Diaz was picked up by the Pirates. Waiver wire claim coming off the Marlins. All right. So I guess let's talk about this. The Pirates did go ahead and make a trade for Troy. He's a first baseman. We all talked about that, right? It's a solid move. He's a major league player, right? There's not a whole lot of upside to him. But probably going to find like a platoon partner with him or such. So you're probably seeing likely another first baseman signed this year. or traded for. I think the Pirates made that move with Lewin Diaz. He has no options. So it's not like you're adding him to a stash. He has no options. He's got to make the club if he sticks. Again, not saying he won't get DFA'd at some point. Maybe it's just an insurance policy for now. But he has no options. So if he's on the club, that means he's got to play day one. But younger-ish. He's not a prospect, but, 26 years old, 26 and a half years old right now. No, my bad. Just turned 26. That's 6 days, not 6 months.
Yeah.
So just turned 26. He was a decent prospect for the Marlins. He did have a lot of power, but never really translated in the majors. So as it stands right now, he owns a 54 weighted run created plus in his major league career in 343 plate appearances. Guys, Lewin Diaz, first base, 2022 Pirates had a -3 WAR at first base. What's your thoughts?
So I think this is strictly 100%. Let's pick this guy up just in case G-Man Choi's surgery and rehab gets extended and he's not ready for opening day. I can't foresee any scenario whatsoever where both G-Man Choi and Lewin Diaz are on the Pirates opening day roster. It just simply doesn't make sense for that to happen. So I think what you're likely going to see is Diaz is going to be DFA'd before opening day, as long as Choi is healthy and ready to go. I just can't. There's just no possible way you can roster both of those guys.
Yeah, Diaz stinks.
He does. He does. He stinks. That's why you can't keep both, because Diaz is bad.
He's a lefty. Jim's absolutely correct. You can't keep both. At least he can field a little bit at first, so that's something. But there's power there. The hit tool's terrible. He stinks. I'm sorry. I have no other analysis other than the fact that the guy has had 2 years to try to show something he hasn't.
He's shown nothing.
I side with Jim. It's kind of like what I was talking about with Hoyt Park. Kind of alluded to here talking about Diaz. I feel like he right now is just like that insurance policy. I mean, he was free. He was a waiver claim. The Pirates didn't have to trade anything for him. It's a position of need, but I don't think this is truly an answer. I'm hopeful it's not. I'm not putting anything past Ben Cherington at this point in time, but I'm hopeful that this isn't we like Diaz. This is the next project that this is the next Anthony Alford, right? This is the next whatever you want to talk about that this guy's going to get rostered for the whole year. I feel like this is more of an insurance. I feel like this guy was free. We'll have him on our team for now until hopefully other options open up, and then he is DFA'd at some point. And actually, you know what? I didn't really think about the injury aspect with Troy. So I guess that makes a whole lot of sense too. I mean, did he have the surgery yet, or is it still coming up?
It just says he will undergo. I don't know if it happened yet.
Okay. I didn't see a date either.
I don't know a date on that.
So sounds like he still will at some point. So I guess that makes sense. We don't know what's going to come on the other side of the surgery. So maybe there's just a guy who's free and available at this point in time that we'll add now, but maybe another shinier option comes and presents themselves in a month and they DFA Diaz and add that guy for the newer insurance policy. I don't know, but that's kind of looking at this as well. I'm hopeful that he isn't part of this team come April.
If he is, then it was something awful happened this offseason. And they weren't able to do anything.
I really just don't get why you go this route rather than maybe protecting a Malcolm Nunez, unless you really don't think he's getting picked in the Rule 5. But I'd rather just go that route if I'm Ben Cherington. But I would assume they're pretty confident that he's not going to get picked.
They got to be uber confident. That's a good point too. If this presents what Jim was just talking about, like the G-Man Choi insurance policy, you already had that. And I'm more intrigued with Nunez than I am with Diaz.
And Nunez's bat's right-handed, which you have none of those on your roster.
Right. So that's a good point.
Yeah, the Nunez thing, like I said, it surprised me because like, when we did our episode, I thought they were going to protect him just for the simple fact that, like, if you're Charrington and he gets claimed, then like, what do you have to show from that Quintana trade? Like, this is a guy that he picked for that deal, and I don't know. I mean, looking at, I also understand it's probably tougher to hide, like a first baseman DH type on your roster, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens there.
All right. So I guess the whole not of back and forth with Diaz, he just kind of is what he is. Again, like I'll say this, he was definitely an intriguing prospect for me. Like I loved the deal for the Marlins at the time when they made a trade with the Twins, traded Sergio Romo for him. I mean, he came with a lot of power, but like you're saying, he just has not translated that through into the major leagues. And it's not even like where it's close. Like he's bad. He's Josh Van Meter bad. But he can play the defense well at the position. That's like the only difference. But with the bat, he's Josh Van Meter bad.
And if there's one position where like it doesn't matter how good you are at first base, like you have to hit.
Yes.
You can't just not hit at that position.
Think about the guy that is tossed around the league that no one wants that can play it, and that's Eric Hosmer. And he plays it like he hits way better than Diaz, and he's hot trash around the league.
He also has a really heavy contract where he probably wouldn't be as hot trash if he wasn't getting paid like $27 million or something.
Well, that's because he wouldn't be in the league anymore. But that's what I'm getting at. Like everyone hates him that
if Lewin Diaz can be in the league, Eric Hosmer would have a spot somewhere.
Right. Yeah, like Hosmer is a major leaguer.
This guy is not.
This guy's not. Good assessment.
All right. So there's the two trades. There's a waiver claim. Was there anything else that we really wanted to touch on and talk on? Did we want to bring up the minor league signing in Nate Webb?
Do we want to say anything about PiratesFest not happening?
Yeah, I could talk about that too, if you want.
I think it's just one of those things where like it was an event, and I haven't been to PiratesFest since I lived in Pittsburgh, so we're talking 15 years ago, right? But I remember it as an event that one, you had a ton of kids, it was big time event for kids. Fans enjoyed it. You got to meet players, you got to meet coaches, you got to meet the front office. It was a fun way to get the community involved in the Pirates during a time of the year where baseball is not happening, right? It usually happened in like January or February, January, I think. And now they're just like not having it anymore. And it's like you're already struggling with connecting to your fan base. And then like one of the things that you did that allowed you to be more connected with your fan base, you're just saying we're not going to do it anymore. I think it's just another like folly that we've seen from this organization when it comes to building a relationship with its fan base. It's like what damage does it do to you to hold PiratesFest? Like have PiratesFest so you can get people involved in the organization and get them excited about the upcoming season, and you're just not going to do it this year. So just another bad decision that the team just seems to be making over and over and over and over and over again when it comes with its fan base.
Any words, Tyler?
I mean, I haven't been to PiratesFest since the team was good. I always had fun when I went. The team's just really out of touch in general. And I don't know that it's going to change anytime soon because let's be honest, Ben Sherrington's not exactly the guy that wants to go out there and shake hands and kiss babies. And Travis Williams has kind of shown that he wants nothing to do with that. So that's
Travis Williams invisible right now.
I don't know what his job actually is.
Because what you think his job is, that's what's being canceled. That's not what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's not like Ben Charrington's winter meetings expose is canceled in San Diego this year. No, it's PiratesFest. It's Tim. Geez, sorry, Tim. It's Travis Williams' jobs. Like, it's the stuff that he would coordinate and promote and do that's canceled. So, like, if you're not doing those things and you're not talking to the media and you're not being transparent as you said you were when you got brought on, I don't know what you're doing, Travis Williams. I really don't. And no one can know because you're not even out there telling us what you're doing. You're hiding and ducking. I'm sorry, but Travis Williams is weak as shit to me. Like, this is a weak ass move. And I say weak because I refrain from saying another word, but it's a weak ass move. So opposed to you two, I never went to PiratesFest. Like, it just, to me, that just wasn't my thing, right? But like, this isn't me saying like, oh yeah, like, just cancel it. It's stupid. That's not it at all. Like, I understand how it connects to a lot of fans, and like Jim says, a lot of kids. Ryan was the one that attended PiratesFest all the time. I never did when I was back home. I still obviously don't now and can't. But like, here's the thing too. People were talking about, well, maybe, hey, back up. Maybe like there's things that they couldn't work out to get like a spot held. Because of course it was at the convention center for how many years? They've been doing it at PNC Park. They have their own building to do it at. They've been doing it at their house. They've been saying, hey guys, come on over, come meet us. And then they stopped doing it and they're not doing it again this year. And I'm sorry, that's a weak ass move. Like, if you are not doing it because of the state of the franchise and you still want to keep ducking, right? You've been ducking the media for how long? And now you want to do it to the fans, and in not trying to expose yourself, and you don't want to go and meet the fans because your feelings are hurt, or you might have to talk about something, that you are going to diminish whatever you have built up with the fan base. Like you said, Tyler, you just don't get it. What are you doing?
I feel like it's almost more just a lazy move. They just don't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that they don't want to go deal with the repercussions of dealing with fans. I think they just don't feel like doing it. Probably doesn't make enough money. Probably not worth their time.
The fact that you feel there's no ROI in this.
Yeah.
Like, there's,
that is just my guess.
And it could be. We'll never know because no one will ever tell us, because Travis Williams, we don't even know if he exists. He could be wicked at Bernie's right now. Like, he might be dead. We have no idea. There's someone carrying around a fake Travis Williams around PNC Park when, you see a shadow. We have no idea who Travis Williams even is, what he does, what the reasons and motives are for this. We have no idea. But again, if that's it, then you're absolutely missing it. If you feel it's not worth it, then you are not the fit for this organization, Travis Williams.
Yeah, and like I said, it just goes back to my original point that it just feels like, I think the one thing that this team and this organization can offer its fans when it is bad is at least like a really good experience when you go to the ballpark, right? They're in like that unique situation, right? Where if you're the Rays and you're bad, you can't offer anything. If you're the Marlins and you're bad, you can't really offer much. I guess if you want to go out to like the club in left field or whatever. If you are the Brewers and you're bad, there's not anything you can really offer your fans, right? Whereas in Pittsburgh, you're like truly blessed with this cathedral of a ballpark that no matter how bad the product on the field is, people still somehow want to go to the ballpark because it's a nice night out in the city where you can hang out with your friends and have a good time, right? And it's just, you need more stuff to just connect with your fans. And I think they made some really good improvements to the ballpark last year in terms of like the bar areas that they put out in the outfield and the standing room only sections. When I came home for a weekend over the summer, spent a day out there like by the Fatheads bar, and it was a really enjoyable experience. So like kudos to them for that. But then on the flip side, if you're not doing that and you're at a game where there's any semblance of a crowd and you want to go get a beer or you want to go get nachos, you want to go get a hot dog, like concession stands don't have enough people working them. It takes forever to get your food. They run out of stuff. It's just not as good of a ballpark experience as it used to be. And at the end of the day, like that's Travis Williams's job. Like Travis Williams is he's in charge of the business side of the organization. He needs to make it so that like you have a layup in front of like you've been blessed with this layup because you've got this great park, and they just like, I think they take it for granted a lot of times. They take it for granted and they just don't do the necessary things that they need to do with the fan base. And it's something they've done over and over again.
100%. And you did touch on this, and I apologize. I take back partly what I said. As Anthony says, does he get credit for last winter's park improvements? And he does. And I will say, yes, those were much needed. And I think those were great. They were fantastic what was done. I was really excited for the changes. I think it does help the fan experience.
But then he also gets blamed for missing 30 minutes of play when you want to go get a hot dog and a beer.
But
like that's his fault too.
So yeah. So fine. So we'll give him credit for that. What else? What else? Is that it? Is that where it stops? So, I mean, again, like when this signing was done, it was kind of like it felt kind of weird about it because, again, he's a hockey guy. He came for the Penguins, not a baseball guy. But maybe that's good. Like we understood, like maybe the dynamic is he's going to do the business, and he knows the business, and Cherington knows the baseball, and Cherington knows the baseball, and that's the perfect dynamic because you're not going to meddle and interfere. We're not going to have some stories 5-10 years from now that the Chris Archer trade, Neil didn't even want it. You know, it was the president at the time that did it. It was Coonley that was all about it. You know, we're not going to hear about the president meddling in. Travis Williams, hey, listen, you're the baseball guy. You do the baseball things. I'll do the business side. And as a business standpoint, what are we seeing? And I'm sorry. So, like, when Anthony does say this, that maybe Pirates Fest was necessary back when Three Rivers Park, but it's not necessary now. Completely false. And you know why? This is a baseball problem. Baseball recognizes we don't connect with fans. At a macro level, baseball says we don't do enough. And then on a micro level, Pittsburgh's like, well, we're going to do even less of it. Like, if this is a problem, like nationwide, we're going to make it the biggest problem in Pittsburgh. That's where I think they're missing. Like, this is a baseball issue. Baseball recognizes we're missing out on the younger generation. And the Pirates are like, cool. Well, then that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, if holding Pirates Fest connects you to, I mean, a lot of people go to Pirates Fest. I remember Pirates Fest, like when the Pirates were bad, and it was packed, like packed. So, like, if you're connecting with just some kids and some young people, then it's worth it. Like, because those people come back. And those people turn into people who waste half of their lives doing stupid podcasts about a team that doesn't care about them. You know, like that's what those kids end up being. Like that's what happens when you hold Pirate Fest.
I don't have kids, so I don't really have a huge, strong opinion on Pirates Fest. But I do really, I mean, I understand why it is so important. I just don't have that strong of an opinion because I don't have kids and I haven't been there in a long time.
Let's put it this way, because I know a big part of it is kids, but it's not just kids. It's also the fans, whatever fans you have left and remaining that look forward to this every year with or without the kids of those people. And here's another lost opportunity of something they get excited for, that they can finally wear their Pirates gear in the middle of dead winter when everyone's talking about the Steelers or Penguins, and they can feel some type of pride, you know, and like I get excited because I'm going to meet these players and whatever and do these things, and like it's gone now.
I would sell my soul and do nothing but speak positively about this team.
Yeah, I would do that.
But like to that point, like I mean, Pirate Fest would be an opportunity for. I don't know. I wouldn't say we would do it, but like could do like a live podcast, like
that's it.
from Pirate Fest or like a bar outside Pirate Fest. Like those are things that could happen, not even just with us, but with other podcasts that talk about the Pirates. Like those are things that could happen with something like a Pirates Fest that they're not taking advantage of.
The other thing, this is the opportunity to start really investing in the fans because you're supposedly investing into this young core of the team. This is the time that you have to go get those fans to build up with the team. And instead, they just canceled the one thing they do in the offseason.
Two things. The Pittsburgh Hall of Fame. Okay. I've added two things to Travis Williams' resume now.
But even that, like,
3
I
years.
don't think it was done right. Like,
well, I know you had your issues.
Like
but
they-
hey, regardless, two things.
Okay.
That's what I can think of.
I can't think of anything else either.
It's not talking to the media.
They took the out-of-town scoreboard out off of the wall in right field, but I think they're bringing it back.
Yeah, I think that's coming back.
Yeah. So he messed up something great, and then he at least realized the mistake, and he's bringing that back.
Was it him that they got rid of the light up sign outside? Or was that before him?
Well, all the signage has changed since he took over. Yeah.
I can't remember.
Like all the.
But that was
Twitter
more
was-
PNC.
signage.
Twitter,
That's
yeah,
more
Twitter
of a
was up in
PNC
arms
thing,
about
though.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So does that wrap up our Pirates Fest?
I think it does.
Again, like I just think it shows a lot of that was a lot of talk on Twitter, and that's where I don't want to send the wrong message, but like when moves happen, the fans matter, but it's more okay. So what's the real baseball aspect of this? Like I understand like there's fan favorites, whatever. This is where the fan voice like really, really, really matters because that's where it directly connects, and a lot of fans are vocal about this. They're upset, like you upset your fan base for doing this again. And they did say like it's not out of the picture in the future. We hope to do it again in the future, and that's why again to me it just spoke of we don't want to do it now.
Right.
This organization is so bad because of us that we don't want to answer to it because we've shown for a year and a half now that we don't want to answer it because we haven't answered to anything for a year and a half now. And anytime you guys do make an appearance on something we do, we tell you we don't want those questions. We're only going to talk about whatever said event is.
What if they canceled it simply because of that one kid who got his picture taken with Bob Nutting in the T-shirt last year? That wasn't during Pirates Fest or anything, but
weak. Again, weak.
Yeah.
Stop being a bitch is what I'm trying to say.
No, I'm with you.
Jim's got a soccer game he's got to watch.
Yeah.
It's in 3 hours, but I got to get a good spot at the bar.
I'm going Black Friday shopping.
I'm going back to bed. No, I'm not.
I'm
Sleep's
going Black
overrated.
Friday shop, and then the Christmas tree's going up. And Hallmark Channel's getting turned on. And
We've lost
NSYNC
Tyler for a month.
Christmas. Yep, I'm gone. And then NSYNC's holiday album's coming on, and we're getting at it today.
Honestly, sounds like a pretty packed day for you, and not too bad.
And then tomorrow, Ohio State, Michigan, Louisville, Kentucky.
Let's go.
Sounds good. Should we get out of here then?
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks for joining along. We'll be back sometime next week, probably. Don't expect too much action, I guess, to happen. I don't know. Whatever. Let's get out of here. Bye-bye.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.
See you guys.